Call this meeting to order. City of Groves, notice of a regular meeting of the city council chamber, Groves City Hall, May 22nd, 2023, at 5 p.m. We all rise for the prayer and pledge, please.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, distinguished guests. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this Groves City Council meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture those bonds of community and collective agreement. Bless us with your grace, Lord God, and give the mayor and these city leaders the wisdom in making good decisions that affect our city. Continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory to you, and for the service to our community. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, city clerk.
Mayor Bourne,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McAdams,
Here.
Councilmember Dugas. Here. Councilmember Oliver,
Here.
Councilmember Vissel.
Here. I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Item 4 on the agenda will be approved the minutes of the May 8th, 2023 city council meeting.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the May 8th, 2023 city council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 8th, 2023 city council meeting. Do I have any questions? No questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams. Councilmember Vincil.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 5, we received the minutes of the May 8th, 2023 and May 15th, 2023 planning and zoning meeting. Believe everybody got a copy of it.
Yeah.
All right. Item 7 will be a presentation of a proclamation designating May 22nd. Do we need to wait? Is she here?
She's on 39th Street. She's on 39th Street. That's close.
Think we can wait on her?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna hold tight. Everybody just hang out. We'll have Miss Letha, if you'll read it, and then we'll do the proclamation. That'd be fun.
Wanna wait till she gets here?
Yeah, I think she'd like to.
He hasn't heard.
Oh gosh, you make her cry before I give her this other page.
She hasn't heard the letter?
No.
Oh, my goodness.
No, I told you that how quick we had to do it, and we had to really trick her to get her, or the person that wrote the letter person had to really deceive her to get her to come. They were dropping off PTA paperwork.
Well, Councilmember Dugas has some thick Kleenex tissues up there, if anybody needs
Oh,
them.
some Kleenex right here. Anybody want to meet her at the door or the parking lot?
I don't think her,
Oh, okay. And she's walking in a room full of people.
That way.
Patiently.
that's how she works, she just kind of backed up in the corner.
I think y'all heard the numbers, they all can just text her, say, hurry up. Hurry up.
Everybody clicks at the same time, saying we're patiently waiting.
Yeah.
I think her boys are here.
Well, welcome to City Council.
Thank you. I think so, yeah.
Are you Miss Heber? I am. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
All right, we'll be back on track here. Miss Letha, would you like that? Come to the mic for us.
Might read to you the letter that was sent, if
Okay.
you haven't gotten to hear that, and we have tissues. Mother of Year nominee, Siobhan Hebert. Grove Chamber of Commerce and Tourist Center. I would like to nominate Siobhan Hebert for Mother of the Year. She is an incredible mom of 2 teenage boys. She has solely raised these boys to be respectful, helpful, resourceful, independent young men. She works a full-time job, providing all their needs and encourages them through many extracurricular school activities, church activities, and Boy Scouts. Siobhan wears many hats for her boys: Scout mom, fishing team mom, band mom, and altar boy mom. With her guidance and support, her oldest son has earned his Eagle Scout, and her youngest son is well on his way to do the same. Siobhan stays extremely busy traveling to all their meetings and events, including campouts, fishing tournaments, band performances, and church events. She has not only been a mother of her 2 boys, but also a scout mom to many Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts in Groves. She was the den mother for her son's groups in the Cub Scout Pack 287 for 7 years, and continued on to be a supporter and leader with the Boy Scout Troop 202 for the past 5 years. If there's any mother in this area that deserves recognition, it's Siobhan. She's the strongest, most supportive and providing mom I know. She may not love that I nominated her because she doesn't like the spotlight, but she is incredibly deserving and surprises can be fun. Sincerely, Kristen Baxter.
I'm getting more. Understand that. City of Groves, Texas, Office of the Mayor Proclamation. I, Chris Bourne, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Groves, Texas, do hereby proclaim May 22nd, 2023 as Siobhan Hebert Day in the city of Groves, Texas, and urge each and every citizen of our city to recognize and honor Siobhan Hebert as the 2023 Mother of the Year in the community of Groves, as brought forth by the Groves Chamber of Commerce and Tourist Center. In testimony whereof, witness my hand and the seal of the city of Groves this 22nd day of May 2023. You didn't have to say. It's busy. Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
All right, item 7 will be reports. I believe the report that was on here is going to be moved to next meeting. So that was not gonna be here. Mr. VFW, do you have something for us?
So, yes, sir.
All right.
For my report, I'd like to talk about Article 1, Constitution of VFW, just to give you guys a little bit of insight about what the VFW does, because I spent 36 years in the military and I did not know. I never thought I would be in the VFW myself. The object of the Veterans of Foreign Wars are fraternal, patriotic, historical, and educational, to preserve and strengthen comradeship among its members, to assist worthy members, to perpetuate the memory and the history of our dead, to assist their widows and orphans, to maintain true allegiance to the government of the United States of America, and to the fidelity to its Constitution and laws, to foster true patriotism, to maintain and extend the institutions of American freedom, and to preserve and defend the United States from all of our enemies, wherever they might be. And that means a lot more to me than it did in the past. Today, we're going to talk about VE Day. It comes up this month, or actually it comes up in June. On May 8, 1945, we had what was known as Victory in Europe Day, or VE Day. Celebrations erupted around the world to mark the end of the World War II in Europe. The war had been raging on for almost 5 years when U.S. and Allied forces landed on the beaches of Normandy on the 6th of June, 1944. The invasion signaled the end for Adolf Hitler and Nazi Germany. In less than a year, Germany would surrender and Hitler would be dead. Adolf Hitler had committed suicide on 30th of April during the Battle of Berlin, and his successor, Reich President Karl Donitz, authorized Germany's surrender. The administration headed by Donitz was known as the Flensburg government. In the United States, the event coincided with President Harry Truman's 61st birthday. He dedicated the victory to the memory of his predecessor, Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had died of a cerebral hemorrhage just a month before. Truman said his only wish that Franklin would have lived to see this day. Later that day, Truman also said that it made it his most enjoyable birthday. Although the fighting ended in Europe, it continued in the Pacific, where Allied forces still fought the Japanese in Okinawa and in the Philippines. VE Day marked the end of the fighting in Europe, where tens of millions of service members and civilians had died. Some 250,000 United States troops lost their lives in the European theater. Tens of thousands of people filled the streets of New York, New Orleans, London, Australia, and other allied nations. There was a massive celebration in Paris. U.S. forces that were there took part in those celebrations, who were a nation that had suffered a lot of the fighting. Today, memorials around the world mark the events of VE Day and World War II in general, and honor those who served and paid the ultimate sacrifice, including now there's a National World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. Few of these veterans are still alive who fought in World War II, but some continue to take part in reunions and observations to mark VE Day and other major events that occurred during the war. One of these is VFW Post 4820's own James White. Mr. White is the national treasure of our post, having fought in the European theater in World War II. He was injured, received a Purple Heart, and retired from the military as a major. Mr. White was wounded in battle, and I already said that stuff, but anyway, he's been a voice for veterans for over 50 years. Was one of the last few people that are still around that built the Veterans Memorial Park out on Highway 73. So that's my report.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any other reports?
No, sir, not.
Do we have any citizen comments at this time? Any citizen comments? All right, we'll move on to item 7A. Discuss and approve the city of Groves to enter into a contract with South surveyors and engineers to develop, design, install, and provide training for needed upgrades to the city of Groves wastewater treatment facility.
Make a motion, we discuss and approve the city of Groves to enter into a contract with Celtex surveyors and engineers to develop, design, install, and provide training for needed upgrades to the city of Groves wastewater treatment.
A second.
Have a motion and a second to discuss and approve the city of Groves to enter into a contract with South surveyors and engineers to develop, design, install, and provide training for needed upgrades to the city of Groves wastewater treatment facility. Do we have any questions? I believe,
We have Troy Foxworth and Jeremy Mitchell also here.
Was there any paperwork to go with this? I didn't get any.
No, we had a committee that just picked the engineering firm.
Okay.
You got a committee,
Wait, what?
There,
It was us, it was myself, Michael and I'm sorry, Kobe from the sewer plant. We went through the RFQs and we looked at all of them and we rated them according to the RFQ that we sent out and went through the criteria and we chose this company.
explain what y'all are trying to design, Troy. And
It was the headworks of the sewer plant, the screening that was already discussed in the previous, the last engineer that was looking at it, it was the screening and the grit removal. So we went out for RFQs, so we got more engineer firms, 4 engineer firms actually submitted qualifications. And we looked at all those, separately, got together and it was unanimous on the decision that we made.
could I ask what engineering companies the others were, names of the other companies?
Yeah,
Sean
Schaumburg.
Schaumburg and Colgate was South Tech and, it
Schneider.
was Schneider was one of them and then Levens Engineering,
Did you say Lee?
Lead, LEAD,
L E
yes.
E D.
And this would be just for the headworks portion of the plant?
Yeah, this is Headworks, which would be the screening, also the grit removal system, if there's enough monies there. So they're gonna design both of them. We're just gonna. We're hiring the engineering firm for right now.
So the engineering company will design
Yes. They'll design it,
the,
present it to us, we'll approve whatever their design is and move on from there.
and I guess I have to ask, what is their experience in this field?
The head engineer of that one, he actually designed the original plant. So,
Our plant?
yes.
Okay.
So that was one of the leading factors on their decision also, and,
You understand?
so he's been in this a long time, so,
Okay. And he works for the engineering company?
yes. His name is Gary Graham,
Gary Graham?
yes. That's what he's out there, yes.
was there any monetary values with any other proposals or engineering costs to begin with, or?
That was not included in that, it was just their qualifications on, references that they had done in the past, they told us what they could do and we judged it accordingly.
All right, so they're gonna design the new system, let's say,
Yeah, whatever upgrades are needed. Yes, sir.
and then they'll bring in contractors to come in
Yes,
assemble
yeah, they'll send out for, what do you call it? Yeah, they'll bid it out. And, whoever gets the best bid, that's who we'll choose. It's just like we do all the
I
other
would
projects.
like to see, I guess, as this process goes through the design work, the council could see what's been proposed before it's, I guess, before parts are bought or whatever. So we can look at expense, what, they're gonna have numbers with this, am I
Yeah,
correct?
of course, yeah.
Before it's actually done. I think I have some concerns. And would like to see these numbers before we go out and say, okay, let's go start working on this.
And typically what they'll do is they'll send it out and, you know, in the papers, or they'll send them to local vendors, contractors, and they will actually give us their best prices, and that's how we'll choose. That way, yes, we can, I mean, you guys will be the ones choosing it anyway, so we'll have to.
We have the final say.
Yeah, we'll be approving this.
Exactly, we'll be proving it all.
This is the CLFRF grant, so that's where the funding is from.
Okay. But it's still, even though it's grant money, we want to stretch as far as we can.
Correct, yes,
Exactly.
So that's why I want to be able for council to look at the numbers. Not that we're plant builders or anything, but we do have some, I guess, concern, maybe questions that we would like possibly ask.
Okay.
Do we know how much money was left of that grant?
About 1.6 million.
How much?
1.6.
Is this the same as the 1.7 million that the auditor was talking about? Is this the same money? Where he said, you
I
know,
think so,
they use,
think so.
the city used that money and we have to pay it back?
No,
If it goes
unspent.
unspent.
Yeah, if it goes unspent, we do.
But the city borrowed that money.
Okay.
No, I don't mean borrowed it from a bank.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sorry.
the Fed,
Let me rephrase.
federal,
They used it for maintenance and operations. There was money used for maintenance and operations.
no.
That's what was said by the auditor. So I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe
this is
I'm
the
getting-
grant, we got two tranches of about 1.9 million in 1 year, and then this past year, we've got two tranches of 3.8 total.
Right,
And then we've spent it on various projects, and what's left that hasn't been budgeted to be spent is 1.6. We're doing all the pipe bursting with the majority of it right now.
okay,
So what's gonna be left of the 3.8 is this 1.6 million that was just mentioned. That needs to be spent within the time horizon, which I think is another 3 years. All right, if we don't spend the money, then it will be refunded back. But typically, the way these grants work is that we'll spend the money and then they send us a reimbursement for it. This case, they fronted us the money to spend. That's
right.
how
I
they go
know
through
it's
it.
a bit unusual because,
Right.
yeah,
So the 1.7 that the auditor said that would have to be paid back within 2 years is what he stated.
Well, about 4 years, somewhere in there, I can get you the exact date at some point.
but that's this money.
That's this money that's being used for this project. Whether it was with the previous wastewater plant review or this current one that we're revising.
So I guess I'm a little confused here. Do we have to pay it back or do we not have to pay it back if we use it?
If you use it, you don't have to pay it back. They
We
gave
have
it,
plans to use it.
yeah, they gave it to us to spend, so that's the goal, is to get it
One
spent.
point six is what we're looking at for
That's how much we have right now, once
this and the pipe bursting.
that's without the pipe bursting. Pipe bursting is already budgeted in, we had 3.8.
Okay.
And we use a little bit on the downtown, a little bit on Hit Street, and the rest of it's being used on this pipe bursting right now.
Okay.
And what's left
1.6 is left.
is about 1.6. And when we get the final bills, I'll be able to give you the exact number. But that won't be known until the pipe bursting is complete.
So once this is used, let's just say for the plant, then
we spend 1.6.
Yeah.
On that, then there's no monies that would. Where he was talking about the 1.7,
Sure.
that's. No monies are owed nowhere.
That's correct, yes. I mean, if there's any left over, we'll have to reimburse, but our plan is to spend everything in plus $1, if you will.
May I ask something? So, just trying to get it straight here. Okay, so we've got Sutex surveyors and engineers.
Yes.
Are they gonna oversee Shobon? How do you spell that? I mean, how do you say it? The company that,
They're the ones that are, they're gonna do everything. They're gonna be the engineers that's designing it, they're gonna go out for the bid.
Schomburg and Polk was another engineering
I'm
firm that submitted,
Yes,
so they don't work together.
no, they don't work together.
okay, so we're not using Schomburg and Pope.
No,
Okay. I thought that you said we were, that's what I was asking.
no, they were one that submitted one.
Okay, so they submitted, Schneider submitted, and Lead submitted.
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't decide on them. You decided
They started
on,
on the south side,
right,
Suntec.
people we know.
Yes.
Okay. And then they're gonna go out for bids for the actual work.
Correct.
Okay. And what about the parts and everything? Are they gonna have to be,
That's all gonna be included with that.
They will come back and present a turnkey price.
Exactly.
And you said there would, this could be the grid side, or grid removal
As well, yes.
as well.
Yes.
So will that be presented as two different, or is it gonna be one?
There's some systems that are actually combined, but we're gonna decide on which
Depending on
one's
what
the
works
best. Yes.
best.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna get our best bang for our buck, is what we're trying to do here.
so where's Mr. Graham coming at?
He is with South Tech, he's the
He is
engineer over that project.
Okay, right. Good, very good. Okay, and so it's headworks and grid removal,
Yes,
headworks screening. Okay.
Any other questions? Other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye, Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincil.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 7B, consider setting a date for a joint public hearing on a request for specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 6932nd Street.
I make a motion to consider setting a date for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 6932nd Street.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to consider setting a date for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 6932nd Street. Do we have any questions?
I have a question. Do we want to, hold off on this until we go down, if you look under city attorney on item D, to discuss and consider the guidelines for potential amendments to the game room fees and ordinance? Do we want?
Well, regardless of what happens on D, we still gotta do the specific use.
It's a separate fee.
Yeah,
And we've already had the public
So the
hearing on
fees
it.
doesn't-
That would be their last step.
Exactly where is this located?
it's a gas station, isn't it?
Two of them are.
This one is probably.
32nd path.
Yeah, 32nd path.
Is that changed? Okay.
Yeah.
I was on there.
That's is it a Valero?
Exxon Mobil, I think.
It's a B&B.
No, no, it's not B&B there.
It's the one
It's a Valero.
It is.
Is it a Valero now? It used to be
Yeah.
Exxon Mobil.
This was at planning and zoning the other night.
Anybody have a date in mind?
Don has, June 19th.
Yeah, Don recommended June 19.
June
It's
19th.
city council.
That's a council day also.
Yes.
I have no problems with June 19th.
I'm good. I'm good.
Everybody else?
Yeah, made my motion.
Yeah, that'll work. And then whoever makes the next two, if you want to, just go ahead and throw that in there.
All at the same time.
Yeah, I would do them all together.
I'll amend my motion to have the joint public hearing for the specific use permit for the gaming machines and game rooms at 6932nd to be on June 19th, 2023.
No second.
We have a motion and a second to set the date for June 19th for a joint public hearing on request for specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 6932nd Street. Do we have any questions? No other questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8C. Consider setting a date for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 2600 Main Avenue.
I make a motion, we consider setting the date of June 19th, 2023 for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 2600 Main Avenue.
No second.
I have a motion and a second to consider setting the date for June 19th for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 2600 Main. Do I have any questions?
This is 2600 Main and 25th Street. These are established businesses. They're not new.
Main and 25th, that's another gas station, isn't it?
Yes.
That's that little convenience store on Main and 25th. It's like a little strip mall. It has the Balin Bakery in it and the smoke shop, which is up next on the agenda.
All right,
So this. Right now, there's an operating game room.
Well, it's
their
it's a
permits haven't
convenience store.
expired yet.
They don't have very many machines. in there.
It's a convenience store with some machines in it.
It needs to be, maybe
Is it-
seven.
Is it in that store?
It's in the
Yeah,
store.
It's not one of the
right
other.
next to the ATM machine, I think.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk in, there it is.
It is a convenience store, let's just give it to them. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Being no other questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 8D, consider setting a date for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 2610 Main Avenue.
Make a motion to consider setting a date of June 19th, 2023 for a joint public hearing on a request for a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 2610 Main Avenue.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to consider setting a date for June 19th for a joint public hearing on a request for specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 2610 Main Avenue. Do you have any questions?
This is that little smoke shop, the smoke shop that's in the strip mall. I went in there and talked to the gentleman that was behind the desk. He said they open up at 9. They close before 10 and no one under the age of 21 is allowed in the smoke shop. They have, I forgot how many machines are in there, but they have notices on the machines and different things like that. He keeps a watch over it, so what he told me, and he's right there. When you walk in, he's right there, you can see everything.
Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 9, city attorney, consider approval of ordinance 2023-05 to grant a rezone of 5589 Gulfway Drive from R2, 1 and 2, family residence district, and C1 resident retail business district to C3 general heavy commercial district. You want to read that?
We need a motion. I make a motion to consider approval of ordinance 2023-05 to grant a rezone for 5589 Gulfway Drive from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district and C1 retail business district to C3 general heavy commercial district.
I'll say.
An ordinance amending the city of Grove zoning ordinance by changing the following described property to wit 5589 Gulfway Drive, tract 19A, 1.430 called 1.432 acres of land. A replat of all of lot 19 and parts of lots 18 and 20, Orange Acres addition from R2, 1 and 2 family residence district and C1 retail business district as designated in Articles 8 zoning district regulations, section 8-200 and section 8-500 to C3 general heavy commercial district as designated in Article 8 zoning district regulations, section 8-800, providing that no other portions of the zoning ordinance shall be affected hereby, providing for publication by publishing the caption only, and providing an effective date.
All right, do I have any questions?
Is this the same piece of property that fellow was talking about rezoning, possibly, storing dump trucks there?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Just have to be put in an ordinance. It just has to be put in an ordinance.
Any other questions? No other questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye, Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Benson.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
hi,
Motion passes. 9B, consider approval of ordinance 2023-06, granting a specific use permit for gaming room and gaming machines at 5130 Twin City Highway.
Make a motion, we consider approval of ordinance 2023-06, granting a specific use permit for game room and gaming machines at 5130 Twin City Highway.
I second.
An ordinance authorizing a specific use permit for gaming machines and game rooms at 5130 Twin City Highway, lot 4, tract 1, 11.82 acres and tract 7.394 acre, block 8, RGF Palco, 4900 to 5170 Twin City Highway, providing that no other portions of the zoning ordinance shall be affected hereby, providing for publication of publishing the caption only, and providing an effective date.
Have a motion and a second for ordinance 2023-06. Do we have any questions? Do we have any questions? No questions, we'll vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye, Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Benson.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
hi,
Motion passes. Item 9C, discuss existing rooster ordinance and provide direction to the city attorney as to whether amendments to the ordinance are needed at this time.
No motion.
Have a motion needed.
we don't need a motion to discuss it.
Informational only.
Are you sure?
If there's gonna be discussion, there would need to be a motion. If we're
That's
just
right.
gonna hear from the citizen, and then we're not, but I think we should have a motion for discussion for the council.
I make a motion,
Okay.
make a motion, we discuss the existing rooster ordinance and provide direction to the city attorney as to whether amendments to the ordinance are needed at this time.
I second it.
I have a motion and a second to discuss the existing rooster ordinance and provide direction to the city attorney as to whether amendments to the ordinance are needed at this time. Do I have any questions?
I read the ordinance last time I went through it, well, I went through it a couple times. And there's a couple of questions. I see where what's really being violated is, well, when I looked at it, what I thought was being violated is section 522, that's the noise part of it. Are you Mr. Marina? Okay. the noise part of it, section 5.2 is really a violation, but also, I don't know what we can do. I was gonna ask Mr. Monk what we could do. I know we have already in place, we already have, restrictions and, I guess fees or fines or whatever, when, Mr. Escobar goes out there and deals with them. I don't know how much stronger we can get if we can. We probably need to, but the compliance and the continual disregard for the ordinance and being served papers. I think one thing we might be able to look at, unless it is an absolute legal bottom line, is the 30-day notice. They have 30 days to apply.
And I think we have kind of two issues going on here. One is with respect to animal control, which requires notice, requires a certain period of time before they can act.
Yeah,
I think the other thing that has been discussed as of late is that there could be the ability to potentially enforce the ordinance if there was an ongoing or repeated problem through citations for violating the ordinance, which would not necessarily have to be a 30-day notice type activity. So those are the things that we've talked about internally in terms of what we could try to do, but of course, I would like to hear a little bit more about the nature of the
absolutely.
problem so that we could understand if there's something we could do better.
Hey, my name's Ronnie Murdo, 3000 Graves Avenue. What I'm asking is to tighten up this ordinance, especially on the time limit, so Stephen has some effective tools to deal with this. This started a year ago. Neighbor got a rooster right next to me. Well, I'll wake up at 4 AM. I got a crowing rooster 10 feet from me. Well, I didn't know it was against city ordinance. Finally found out, called Stephen, he comes out. Well, I can do something eventually. He said, I gotta give him 30 days notice once I serve him. Well, that's a problem. I know I've reported at least a dozen around me. Barry, Graves, Boyd, he'd get rid of one and another one pop up. Well, now I got another problem. 3 of these 12 are repeat offenders. What they're doing, they're getting rid of the rooster, waiting a couple months, and they bring another one back. Same resident. Well, Stephen's got to go out there, reserve them, start the 30 days again. When I left my driveway today, I have one across the street crowing. When I left for work this morning, he's crowing at 4 AM. I've got to wait 30 days. That's not reasonable to have to lay in bed and listen to crowing roosters at 4 AM. I know Port Arthur, I was reading theirs, they have 72 elements. 30 days, that's too lenient. I know Stephen, this isn't a reflection on Stephen. He's doing the best he can with his system. He's frustrated, but 30 days is too long for people in the residential neighborhood to listen to crowing roosters. I think you get more complaints if people knew it was against the ordinance. Like I said, I never knew, until I got the research and then out of necessity. It's
Mr. Monk, where
just
does
ridiculous.
our ordinance say the 30-day
The
notice?
30 days actually comes in from animal control side. That is not on the rooster ordinance, and so that's exactly what.
The only thing that is enforced in this rooster ordinance is it is finable up to a misdemeanor. There is no notice given, so if we enforce the ordinance as it's written right now, we don't have to wait at all.
Exactly.
And guess what?
Now-
Just ignorance of the law doesn't excuse you from the law.
We do have to wait to remove the animal, but we do not have to wait to cite.
We, Mr. Monk and I had a discussion about this with Stephen the other day, and Stephen needed some guidance on all this. And I think that Mr. Monk gave him some good guidance. We can ask, PD can cite them immediately. And I think that's what we were gonna try to do. I talked with PD the other day on these items, so we're gonna start trying to reinforce
And it's a misdemeanor up to a $500 fine per.
Correct.
And these repeat offenders, they're
Well,
repeat.
I don't wanna have to call the police on my neighbor.
You don't hold them in
Animal
trouble,
control and
and we take care of it.
I don't know, Stephen's the one who said 30 day. I didn't, it's not in
We
the,
understand.
I didn't know where he came up with it. I guess that was the guidance he was given.
We have the ability to enforce it. to the
Well,
fullest
what he,
extent.
what he
We
does,
just weren't.
he goes out there and talks to them first, and a lot of them are good, they didn't know, and they get rid of it. But I got one now, they're defiant, this is the second time, and it's still there, it's probably been over 30 days. Nothing's happened, so I'm frustrated, I don't know what else to do. I mean, it's, these roosters, they start in the morning, they crow all day. It's just a loud grating. Is there just noise? Oh, no, I got two of them now. But I don't know what it is, or how much, they just keep, you get rid of one, two more, they. I don't know why they want them, they don't need them to fertilize their eggs. I don't have a problem with people having chickens and raising eggs, but these roosters,
But there's very few places in the city that are actually within the ordinance that have a rooster.
exactly,
And so if we enforce it, and we enforce it to its fullest extent,
that would.
and now it may take a little while for them to get convicted a few times. But
Well, I think if they get hit in the pocketbook once, that would be good.
a $3 rooster is not gonna be worth a
Right,
$5 fine.
it's just,
Mr. Monk, what is your legal opinion to do for this?
I think we have the ability to enforce the existing ordinance and cite for violations of the ordinance, and then that would be additional help to Stephen and the work that he's doing.
Okay, so Mr. Escabel would be the one to enforce it?
He would probably rely on assistance from the police.
I believe that the plan was if he finds one, he calls for police and they come and write the citation. If he shows up and there's not one there, obviously he can't do anything about it, but once he finds one, I believe that's when he's gonna go. That way they're not just riding around with
they're
it.
easy to find.
Yeah.
I haven't had any
You can
problems,
actually,
okay,
you can hear them from
yeah,
a mile away.
oh, yeah, no doubt. All right, well, I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming.
From the animal control side, if there is a 30 day, is it written in his procedures for 30
I
days?
think that's where it is.
Maybe that needs to be changed. I don't know, that's not an ordinance, we could probably just change that, right?
That's just, I think that's just his policy and I could change, you could change that, I would change that.
That's one of the things I suggested was change that 30-day.
Yeah, well, and that's, if it's on the animal control side, it just needs to be changed. You can put it out there that we changed it, but we don't have to do all the 8 meetings to change an ordinance. Since the 30 days isn't in the ordinance anyway, right?
It's not in this ordinance, it's likely in the animal control ordinance.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for policy, it may be a policy, I'm not
I
sure.
think it's in the ordinance.
Okay,
Yeah.
if that's the case, we will have to come back.
So what are we gonna suggest changing it to from 30 days to what? This court author was 72
10
hours.
hours, same day, get rid of it.
There you go.
I've had a rooster in my backyard too, Mr. Mayor, wherever he went, yes. And when they're learning how to crow, they sound like little children screaming, and it's very distracting when you have little kids as well.
I grew up in the country with cows and chickens and roosters and all kinds of animals, so I'm used to hearing them.
Any other discussion on this? Lucas? No? All right, move on. Item 9D, discuss and consider guidelines for potential amendments to the game room fees and ordinance. We'll need a motion on the second, even though it says we don't need one. Second one.
Make a motion, we discuss the existing. Discuss, consider guidelines for potential amendments to the game room fees and ordinance.
I second it.
Have a motion and a second to discuss and consider guidelines for potential amendments to the game room fees and ordinance. Do you have any questions?
If this is something we've been going over,
That's correct. I think the information we have now is a little bit more information in terms of the cost of the city to be part of the packet and the calls for that particular location. We also provided.
I know, I don't remember last time, what Mr. Monk said about this, but as far as parking restrictions per machine and per employee, do we already, do we have that fulfilled in the ordinance? Or is that something we need to look at?
The parking restrictions, I think, are best handled through the specific use permit process where there's a requirement that they provide a site plan as part of the application.
That's
That,
right.
that could be reviewed by council and by planning and zoning to make sure the parking's adequate and you could be very specific to the location.
Okay. So the little strip center, Main and 25th, their parking, I don't know that it would meet any requirements that we would be given, because you've got your convenience store, your smoke shop, the bakery, and then an empty. And I think there's 10 parking spaces in front of that.
So I don't necessarily think that that would require a change to the game room fees and ordinance or amendments to the ordinance, as much as it would require discussion during the specific use permitting process for each of the sites to determine what are the parking needs, what's the existing parking like, but we think traffic's gonna be like, those kinds of things. I think the best place to handle that is actually specific to the site.
Okay, so when they do when a specific use permit is presented, that's when you do the site, look at the parking and all that.
Correct.
These fees the city's incurred, is that, what time frame? Is that same as the police call time? frame?
Yes, sir.
Like 4 months?
No, that's a whole year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your calls are for a year and that would be for a whole year on the game. For the existing of the permit.
I looked at Vider, what I could find, Vider's ordinance. And of course, there was a video from KFDM about the police going in and shutting down one of the game rooms. Because they found money laundering, prostitution, burglaries, thefts, drug use and all kinds of things in that particular game room. They say it's a negative impact on the surrounding properties. That's one of the things that Vider was talking about, and in that particular video, that it has adverse secondary effects. And that's where you get your property crimes, your gambling offenses, weapon offenses, drug trafficking, urban blight, and litter. Litter. So also in Vider, they have, and I think this was 2021, I couldn't find anything more updated than that, but they have 1,500 feet, not located within 1,500 feet of existing or planned school, religious worship, or residential neighbor. That's what they have in there, 1,500 feet. And then they have within a distance of 2,000 feet where 2 or more other game rooms are located. I don't think we have that in ours.
We do not.
Okay,
And I would think that that could potentially be viewed as inconsistent with state law.
that's what I thought, but that's in there and I didn't know.
But that's their choice and, you know, they may choose to try to litigate that, you know, from their end.
And that would come under, if we did something like that, and I'm not saying that we are, but that would be in the severability clause,
It would.
if we had to change it.
It would be, that's correct.
Okay, so the last time we met, we talked about this, there were 3 sections that I saw that we could do something about, and that would be the application fee, the renewal fee, and the regulatory enforcement license fee per machine. And I had suggested raising the per machine to $1,000. And I thought and I think this was within your legal opinion, the renewal fee could be $1,500. I don't know if we can go more than that. But I also have some, I looked at some emails that Mr. Sosa had sent me on game rooms. And he said, I think that not much will happen from the state level to help with these gambling establishments. I think that the city needs to make this permit process as difficult as possible and allow the neighboring businesses and residents within 200 or 300 feet an opportunity to voice their opinion on these establishments. That's one of the things he sent me. And another thing I wanted to address is the convenience stores and the smoke shop that has the gaming machines in it. When I asked Mr. Sosa about it, he said if they are a 7-Eleven and already operating as a 7-Eleven, they're okay. They must register and pay the license fee for the 8-liners. They're okay as far as the codes are concerned, but if they close or discontinue electric service, then before they open again, the city would be able to apply the applicable codes and regulations if they're going to continue to operate 8-liners. He says they are primarily a 7-Eleven and not a game room. And then the codes he refers to is to any new game room that may want to open. And he just goes into the same thing. He tells me where they're located. So I think one of the things that was said is that if it has those 8-liners in it, it's considered a game room.
Correct. Under our ordinance, if it has a gaming machine in it, and then it would be a game room, it would have to comply with the gaming room ordinance and the gaming machine ordinance. In terms of the 200 feet, we really accomplished that through the specific use piece of this, where we can have citizen comment, and that can be taken into account in terms of what specific restrictions council may want for the property.
Okay.
How much tax revenue does this generate for the city?
I don't know, Lamar, do you have any idea?
I mean, you just have to look at the appraised value and
I had
multiply
asked
by the
about
tax
that,
rate.
and that gets complicated, right? Because I had asked about that.
But beyond that, there are
You're
some,
talking about, you say appraised value, you're talking about the building itself.
yes, yeah.
Now, how much revenue does the gaming room generate for the city?
No, that's
That's
the
where it gets
building, it's
that's a complicated issue. The city has access to that information. We can request from the comptroller, but there's only specific reasons we can request that information. I sure know from Ms. Dugas. And I would say this type of discussion doesn't fall under that umbrella as far as that information.
So would it be safe to say we really don't generate or get any revenue from?
I would assume they pay some sales tax based on whatever they're selling in their business. As far as the amount and all that, I personally don't know at this time. And even if I was able to find out, I don't think I'd be at liberty under this discussion to discuss that with council. And I'll be happy to share why that is. But that information is available. But again, this is a public forum and we couldn't discuss it, even if it was under that umbrella in a public forum. And I'll be happy to brief you offline about how that all would work.
You said these reports are a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Like, I looked at, maybe you could tell me what is SUSP and subject/VEH, what's that?
Mr. Robbins, can you help out on this one?
It's a special subject in vehicle.
Suspicious?
I was looking at it, but I'm visual, so I like to hear it what you kind of. Thank you. Yeah, so these are just the categories that dispatch when we're given a call, whether it's from our city, whether it's somebody calling on the weekend. Anytime it gets to our dispatch and they categorize these calls, that's how they do it. They have a drop-down box that basically has a bunch of selections. And so when it says call type, suspicious subject/vehicle, that could be any number of things, but ultimately it's some type of suspicious activity. And, if the caller gave them some more insight into what that was, it would be in the call note potentially. But generally, they look at a car here after hours, something strange is suspicious, so they call in and that's how it's labeled.
So this is at that address, but it doesn't say specifically that it's about the game room. or the gaming machines?
That could be true, absolutely. I mean, it's a business that has several different doors and locations and parking lot. Hey, sometimes you have to park in front of a business, but you're actually going to a neighboring business. In this particular instance, we have the caller being, I believe, an officer. So him using this address, it's probably likely it was close to that address, but can't say without a doubt that that's what this is.
This that says burglary, I guess that's burglary alarms. Business, is that in the,
Page or-
you don't have it on that? I've got it on
That's
this
reported
one.
by the alarm company.
Okay, that's reported by the alarm company,
It potentially could be,
okay,
which were you looking on that?
on this one, where you,
It's on the back page.
Oh, it's on the same stack?
no, this is a different.
Oh.
Address.
Yeah, typically when it shows that, that's always from that business's, security agency that's sending it.
Okay, so the alarm went off and they notified the police?
That's right, yeah, and which is obviously standard procedure, that's typically who they announce, I hope, they notify first. Yes.
So do we know of anything that is specifically related to the game machines? Because I understand these are, the smoke shop and the 7-Elevens, as Mr. Sessa said, but, it doesn't say specifically from the game room itself.
I guess I'd need a lot more specific of a request, like,
Okay,
to my knowledge in the last few weeks, I can't necessarily answer to my knowledge.
okay, that's fine. So I think we should seriously consider these.
Mr. Monk, the price per machine with the information we have here. I know it's gonna fall on us if asked, are we gonna be able to justify that amount based on what we spend? I remember you said we had to justify if we raise it. It can't be a revenue generator, but we have to justify. If our expenses right now are 700, just over 700 for the year. Now, I realize there's police calls, so that could add a little bit to it, but at $1,000 or more per machine, just could we justify it?
Yes.
So we can justify $1,000 per machine. What about the renewal fee, raising it to 1,500?
Yes.
And can we raise it more, or is 1,500 the tops?
I don't think it's the maximum. I think you could raise it more potentially. I think one of the things that we're looking at probably is spending a little bit more time than has been spent in the past with these sites. So for example, we're looking at site plans going into detail related to the parking. We have planning and zoning that's spending a good amount of time that's not really accounted for here. We have city attorney who's spending some time that's not really accounted for here. I think all those things go into the idea that would be justified.
Okay. And what about the application fee? Keep it at 1,000, or can we raise it?
I think you could raise it, and I think you could say, well, we're gonna spend some more time reviewing each of these sites as they come through.
Okay, so what would we raise it to?
It's really up to council.
What would be a parameter?
For the application itself,
Yes.
probably 1,500 is a good number.
Okay.
What about renewal?
I would say that the renewal cost is gonna be about the same for the city in terms of resources, so I'd do probably the same there.
Could we go to 1,500 per machine?
No, you want 1,500 per machine?
asking if we could go 1,500.
Yes, I think you could justify that.
Keep all the numbers the same.
I think you could.
Okay,
Yeah, this report's really not capturing all the expenses incurred.
yeah,
I mean, it's anything,
And I look back to, what was just asked, what I asked a while ago, how much tax revenue does it generate for the city? And if the cost of, who knows how much time they spend between equipment, manpower and stuff to go run this down. We have no clue what kind of tax revenue we're even bringing in, and I guess.
But we don't have that for just about any business, right?
Again, we can request it, but there's only specific reasons we can request that from the state.
So we don't know how much money brings in, we don't know how much Balls brings in or robs,
No, the comptroller does, we don't.
they do. So, I agree, I don't think you can ask that question.
well, it's a legal issue.
You can set it and I can draft off of your guidance. Yes, sir.
How many times does the police department have to show up at your business?
For the homeless guy that was sleeping on a dumpster, the lady who ran through my fence. The numerous flat tires that decided to pull in my business at 2 and 3 in the morning. I mean,
Do you think your tax revenue that you pay covers that?
I don't know, I couldn't tell you how much it paid. City Gate handles that.
Yes.
I don't know either.
Okay, I know we looked at these, we all saw the, the email with the $717.03. Is this, saying that per their hourly pay, this is what this is?
Correct, that's their hourly pay. Is what the 3 hours and it calculates to be, of what they spend on it.
Okay, so that's just their pay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's not the expense to the actual department. I mean, I understand they're in the department, that's their, what they're paid. That's their salary that they're paid, right?
Mhm.
So it's not wear and tear on vehicles, it's not, if we have to go to
Fuel,
court,
yeah.
it's not, fuel, it's not, anything else that is an expense to the department concerning these things,
Correct.
right?
That's just the man hours. I think that is what was requested. the man
Okay.
hours.
I don't see why the city wouldn't be justified in raising these rates. There's, clearly other things that should be considered in the expense.
I'd like to make a motion that we, raise the machine rates $1,500 per machine. The renewal rate to 1,500 and the application is 1,500.
So I think, Mark, right now, we're under discussing, consider the guidelines. I don't think we need a motion. If you want to give the guidelines to Mr. Monk, that would need to be a separate.
The reason I
We
think
already
it
made
should
a
be a
motion.
motion is because that would help me with guidance and drafting. If council tells me now that's what we want to do, then I can just go straight to that.
With you already making a motion, you would need to amend it, correct?
Correct.
So I made my motion to consider the guidelines for the potential game room fees for $1,500 per machine, 1,500 per renewal, 1,500 per application fee.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second to consider guideline changes for potential amendments to the game room fees and ordinance for 1,500 per machine, 1,500 for renewal, and 1,500 for the application fee. Do you have any questions?
The current renewal fee is how much?
1,000,
1,000, okay, that's not very big increase.
and I got that out of section 2154 of the ordinance. Was there anything else we needed to do with it besides that? That's good.
That's good.
Any other questions?
I have a question. Wouldn't the renewal and application be the same?
They are.
No, I mean, like,
Oh.
there's not two separate ones.
The application is
Is
exactly
the
the same
renewal.
for renewal as well. That's right.
So
having
it's
those-
really just
It's
two.
either or. It's correct. It's.
Right.
You might be a new application or you might be a renewal in existing
Okay.
business.
But it's not three separate charges for
Correct.
one person.
Correct. Either way, it's gonna be 1,500, yes.
Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye, Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dewey.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 10, invoices, city manager.
Invoice approval list for May 22nd, 2023. Braco fence, new gated plant, at the wastewater plant, replace 300 feet of fence at the staff lift station. Replace 100 feet of fence at the Georgia lift station, $30,700. Brentag Southwest Incorporated, Brentlock aid used with polymer in the flocculation process. At the water plant, $9,762.50. Brentag Southwest sodium hydroxide used for pH adjustment at the water plant, $13,749.24. Chameleon Industries polymer for the water plant, $34,580. Chastain Enterprise New Way garbage truck, $380,016. Fuelman of Lafayette gas and diesel for April 2023, $20,605.73. Lower Natchez Valley Authority raw water purchase, $21,136.73. MasterCard Gold AE Tools and Computers software updates for garage, $6,330. Republic Services sludge disposal for April 2023, $6,924.22. Texas Pride Utilities pay app number 5 for 2022-2023 CLFRF pipe bursting project, $219,745.80 for a total of $743,550.22.
I make a motion to approve the invoice list for May 22nd, 2023.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the invoice list for April, May 22nd, 2023. Do we have any questions?
It's garbage truck, that's the one we ordered long time.
No,
ago.
sir, that's the one that was the demo that Michael and them came back to council for a special purchase.
The German one, is it
Uh,
German?
no,
Oh, it was
the Volvo chassis, you mean? I don't think that one has.
No, it's an
Volvo.
auto car.
Auto car.
Yeah, it's American.
We've already gotten that one, right?
Yes,
That's the one that's in service,
it's running right now.
and we're still waiting on the other one, right? July,
Mid-June.
mid-June. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions?
How often do we do the software updates for the garage?
I think it's once a year.
Yeah, annual.
I think that has been said before. We talked before about the software updates. I think it was a year.
Gated the wastewater plant, that's electric gated.
The bottom one, yes. We don't have one right now.
It's gonna be electric.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? No other questions, vote on the motion. Mayor votes aye, Mayor Pro Tem McAdams.
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Councilmember Oliver.
Aye.
Councilmember Dugas.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 11, councilmember comments.
I just want to say, we still have, one of our firemen's wives in the hospital. She needs our continued prayers. Jason Shepherd's wife, Reagan Shepherd. We need to continue prayers for her. She's still in the hospital.
Yeah, I have a comment. Last, May the 8th, at the last city council meeting, I asked for an agenda, for an item to be put on the agenda. It was talked about, and Mr. Bill, you said, okay, it's in the minutes that I asked for that agenda item to be put on the agenda. I sent emails reminding you that it should be put on the agenda, and you did not put it on the agenda. And this is the second time that the charter has not been followed, where a council member, me, has asked for an item to be put on the agenda. And the rules were followed and it should have been done.
Ms. Dugas, the charter reads that it takes two council members.
We
to
had
ask
to.
for it. We did.
In the emails, Mr. Oliver, Councilman Oliver in the emails asked for the discussion. I have the email with me.
I didn't take it as he wanted it on the agenda. If you meant it on the agenda, I apologize. I didn't take it as it was supposed to be on the agenda. And I apologize for that mistake on it. It just said
Mr. Bill,
discuss.
this is the second time, and this is the charter of the city that's been violated a second time. This cannot happen. I'm a sitting city councilwoman, elected by the people. I wanted an item on the agenda. If you had any questions, you should have emailed me and said, I need it clearly stated this particular way. That's not what the charter says. The charter says two council members. So myself and Mr. Oliver sent an email, Councilman Oliver, sorry, sent an email. Because I want that mural, information about that mural on the agenda, and I want it talked about at city council. I have found out a lot of information about it, and the city needs to hear about it. I don't understand this. It doesn't make any sense to me. A council asks for it to be put on the agenda clearly at city council. It's in the minutes, it's in emails, and yet it's not done. And this cannot continue. If you had any questions, you should have just asked. You could have asked. I'm very approachable, and the emails just say, I need it made more clear than this.
I apologize for the miscommunication. Do we want it on the next agenda?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Oliver?
I'll make a motion. Discussion.
Sir?
He cannot answer.
Okay.
Would you like an email to say something specifically?
He never seconded it, and it's always
Yes,
been
he did.
seconded. No,
Yes,
he
he
read the
did.
email, he
He
never said
seconded
seconded,
in the
never
email.
said so.
Yes, he did. He seconded in the email, and you have no right to speak right now. Go ahead, laugh and mock about it. But you're part of the problem here. You're the mayor of this city. Are you not the mayor? Then you should see to it that the charter is followed, the procedures are followed, and the ordinances are followed. This is on you.
Any other councilman comments? Being none, we'll adjourn this meeting, 6:15. Thank you.
No, that's just.
You know, take
Talking again about the game room ordinance stuff. Was it late last year?
Check our meeting.
I'm sorry, I just.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Just say. Must pay out 75. He'll keep 25% of the money will be.
We need to change this.
He'll keep 25.
I got him. I got him.
Maybe all the fuzzy fun. Fuzzy fun.
They're having
In other words, fuzzy fun, you got little.
I'll give him.
So they should get some more. Other than you're gonna have to.
But.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Whatever you make stop in the, and it any.
You get a regular. In the city league? Where's Sydney?
He had to leave. So.
Rob, do you have just a comment on how this game room ordinance and amendments has gone? You feel comfortable with?
We're taking a lot of time to go over. It's not something we did quickly.
Yeah.
It's just hands. We had a few, we had a game in person. Get his feel. Gave his. And we took it all into account. We felt like the fees were comparable to others surrounding cities. And so that's kind of came up something else. And we had to.
Years, is it like once a year they have to renew? Okay, because I think, I don't know if it's 4 off or 1 of them, like every January 1st. I don't know if it's a year.
I think so. I say apply.
Or they want the year, okay.
What do you mean that 10-year one, the big one?
Well, that's what I was wondering about. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, here, well, I'll have that back. 2009.
Just drove by.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you're asking. I'm just gonna go with this, and you wanted that other one, the graph and all that. Okay, I misunderstood. You have it on. Give me 2 minutes, I can go for it. Up that way if you want. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I was confused too. I thought, this is what I've done. That's what we've been talking about a lot. Right. And that tells you what's, but you want just the general budget. Yeah, let me go grab it. I'll print that out.
Open or conceal. Even though we heard conceal.
If you give me, don't ruin it. Okay.
Hey, Ron, I was letting him know.
Hey,
Get raining on. I will give it. So. There's so much advertising. Let's put a scene, forbidding.
grants that we all talk about. They're into the. See, I went to their.
And those, you know, I don't remember who was, but yeah, I think that the government had. They now, there's a state law violation to do whatever. If you make the policy of city ordinance, you can't be private policy override the state.
She only asked me because.
I didn't know.
Not giving a call.
I have read all of the legal information in Mr. Monkey's public use, but, the state law will always override the city law. And I don't agree with that. I think the city should be able to govern itself more. But that's the way it is. That's where the severability clause comes in. If we were to adopt something in the ordinance and then because there's cases before the Texas. We would have to go back again and change that one particular thing, but not the entire.
Months ago, I said in on one of those vehicles, and where a big business had a policy and they violated all of the state law. And so, you never need to change that.
Now.
Policy is.
Several different ways, our plan and a different.
Rubies.
Yeah.
Because that law will trump.
So we. Yes.
Yes. What I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's the fuzzy animal. Yes.
I was still in the fall, when you asked about how much the. There's a state, the state gaming law says, and I'm just gonna give you, I don't know what it is yet. The owner that has shooting. Yeah, then we push it. Over the number of years. So that's.
Fire departments like safety code. There are parking,
Well, remember in the zoning meeting,
like if I could see the
those
buildings.
gentlemen were saying they do
And I don't know the exact
they
numbers
do
of it.
$5 gift certificate. That fuzzy animal law came into
That's be like
effect
12
because
phases.
the gaming room
Yeah.
would
That's
just,
the matter, right?
they found back door, come get around that.
It's the fire on a daily basis to regulate. Because they could go to the station.
They would get this certificate, take it to a merchant.
Fire alarm.
The merchant would finish it with whatever, then the gaming room would go in.
Look at that. And I don't have. I've been out there. Yeah. And I know that.
You got a bit.
Yeah, it was,
In the charter. Yeah. I was gonna leave it to you. That's not so.
he had to say, somebody know how, Mr. Monk may not have.
Yes, the same. He said, no, you store credit. But you don't know that until you. Because once you become-
Okay, I'll come out and look at it tomorrow. You're good. President. Slide, you're not there?
Because then you find, yeah.
Yeah, so they're being credit. So they-
Well, whenever you're going to work, just call me. All right.
But anyway, that's. We're not making.
This is what you want.
No, no.
You can pay it out.
He's thinking, and I can get that kind of through.
No worries.
It's fine.
It's okay.
I asked Omar about that and then. And then he was telling me about our conversation of.
Turn this off the web. No, you should only be doing the. Request that. I can give you a better one. Give me some time to compare. I didn't check the website. I'm really. Economic forecast. That's state law. We're discussing here was it economic forecast.
Yeah.
And even if it was, it's supposed to be done in private executive session. It's competitive. I don't think that. Competitive is.
Basically, the only money we're making off.
The property, that's what I meant.
Sales tax too, because they give you a gift card, but you have to purchase from the store.
I wouldn't know, I haven't
We don't
been in
know.
there, but I trust your advice.
This graph shows through April of this year, but the numbers only go to 21.
And you know,
What, did we miss a month?
That's what I was trying.
You get it on 2021
Oh, oh,
on the numbers.
it did that last time. The last meeting it did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so very much.
Should be.
I'll, email
Hey, I'm not. What you doing here?
That bothered me.
What you doing?
Yeah, same thing you're doing, bothered me.
Hey, every time I want to crawfish, you cut me a pound.
Uh-huh.
We can't beat Here 3 days a week, we crawfish. So, he's been here since whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's been there. So anyway, yeah, one way,
I don't think we do. I think it's good.
Sales tax. And.
They would have to have sales tax certificate, and it would have to say gross.
Once you get a credit, and you say, I want to buy this piece of candy, he's gonna take sales tax out of it. And it's not gonna distinct, this sales tax came from this machine. Not gonna have, it's not separated. Okay, so we're not making. All the money just goes to the cost.
If I can't send a printer, I'll say it went live. Well, it calls that one. I can't look at the narrative. Let's get rid of this one. Take that same thing. When I just last year, then got cut off, right? Yeah.
It was yesterday.
So.
Thank you.
Was it yesterday you got the coffee? Today.
We're down from last year.
I'm gonna go ahead and start my recorder.
We got his picture.
We're fixing to start the meeting, huh? Where's Sydney at?
He had to leave. They just call him afterwards. Give me a reason.
Okay. Well, my recorder's-
Got making? Yeah, the car, yeah, one on the back.
We've got 4 people.
Yeah.
We're just at 5.
We're gonna call this meeting to order of the Groves EDC City Council Chamber, Grove City Hall, May 22nd, 2023 at 6:30 PM. Thanks for everyone that stayed. First item, need to approve the minutes of March 13th, 2023 EDC meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2023 EDC meeting.
I'll second, I'm sorry.
Have a motion to second to approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2023 EDC meeting. Have any questions?
Did everyone read it? Was it okay? Okay.
No other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 4, have any citizen comments? Citizen comments. Item number 5, the only business updates I have is about some local ribbon cuttings that have happened in the last couple of weeks. There was a ribbon cutting at Stacked, a new bakery on Lincoln Avenue. And then just a day or two later, we had a ribbon cutting at Sundera, which is not a new business, but that was their first ribbon cutting. Anybody know any other,
Letha would know.
another ribbon cutting in the last?
We've had Sundera, Stacks, G&T, and, TW,
TWI, the
no,
insurance agent.
no, the Woodlands, Financial Group, TWFG, the insurance. So we've had those 4, and we have 3 on the books for June.
Tomorrow is, Wednesday is the, 5 Point? Is Wednesday?
No, Wednesday is the top 10 luncheon.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so the rest are not until June.
Right, June
Okay.
6th, 7th, and
Sorry about
7th.
that.
And the only information on the hospital is, we have a, workshop tomorrow evening, correct,
Yes,
about this very item.
about this.
Item number 6, present, review, and discuss monthly sales tax report for April and May. Looks like, so far we're up for the year, we're maybe down for the month a little bit, but we're looking at 242,000 sales tax.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to make it smaller next time, so nobody can read it. But what I would like to do, and, say this way, getting anything changed from how things have been done is a lot of confusion by staff on, do we just keep things as we are until things are final, or but what I would like to propose, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything, especially if they're not here. I'd like to formalize this report, this nice little tiny little thing that you can't read, to a lot bigger, easier to read, and a more of a general summary. And then if you want to double check the numbers, just have this as supporting documentation versus this is all you get. Yes, absolutely. We're having a
record year.
we're having a record year. I'm projecting 2.9 million in total sales tax right now.
Wow.
That's a linear regression for anybody who's a math major out there who cares. But that's what I'm projecting. Yeah, you're gonna have monthly fluctuations, but you know, there's a whole lot of different things. So I encourage you to look at the aggregate numbers more than the month to month type things.
Right.
But yeah, you can see that the trend for the last few years, is even through COVID. I mean, you can see the dip yourself when Walmart, Super Kmart left.
Yeah.
And the trend since then, with some interruptions, is right in the right direction. And the last 5 years are out of just wonderful. Wonderful. The trend is definitely moving the right way. Obviously, everybody wants to keep that trend going. You know, there's a lot of macro issues, but locally, I'm not happy at the pump per se, but with $80 for a barrel of oil, the economy here is going to stay strong. You know, you might not feel that way at the pump, but the major employers around here are doing all right.
Any other questions on the monthly sales tax report?
And with the extra information, I mean, you got this screenshot of what this is where I pulled the data from. This is straight from the comptroller's office. There's a little miscommunication on my side, but this is where I'm pulling the data from.
Now, we just have this at each of them.
I'm gonna clean it up and kind of give you kind of a year-to-date thing.
Right.
And maybe a smaller graph, and then we'll have this in the back, because I'm sure 2021 is really important to lots of people here, but maybe let's get to at least to the teens is kind of where I would be suggesting.
No, I was just used to seeing the graph, and when I
Sure.
didn't see it, it kind of threw me, so it's okay.
Yeah, but the trend is definitely going the right way. It's not quite logarithmic, but it's definitely a strong upward direction.
As we want to item 7, review and discuss budget report for April and May 2023.
And this is the other one. It's kind of small, but it breaks down by month, all the revenue and expenditures. We've talked about it a few times with the beginning fund balance, ending fund balance. Sales tax income, okay, you're gonna see gross amounts on this report and on the graph number, that's the total sales tax. EDC gets 1/3 of that number, so that's what you see when you see the sales tax income, it's gonna be 1/3 of what that gross is. And then each month afterwards, you're gonna have to break down on what the expenses have been, and who they were to underneath.
Okay, item number 8, review and or approve monthly non-grant expenditures. Do we have any non-grant expenditures? We do not. Okay.
Nothing until we get to 9.
And number 9. Review and approve any future EDC non-grant expenditures. This would include the $125,000 money transfer to general funds and the bond payment for the fire station of $579,750.
Right, these monies were approved by city council, so it's just not a question of if, it's more of a question of when. I understand we might look to change that process in the future, but as far as today, these monies will be moving, it's just a question of when EDC and council sees fit to tell me to move it. I will say, don't make me wait till the end of August, because bond payments are due in September, so let's do it a little bit before.
That's
then.
why I want to go ahead and put it on the.
We need to
agenda.
make a motion to go ahead and discuss this anymore.
I make a motion to review and approve any future EDC non-grant expenditures. This would include the $125,000 money transfer to general funds and the bond payment for the fire department of $579,750. $79,750. I was just gonna say it was tabled at the last.
We're having a motion second, we can actually discuss it now. So we talked about reducing that amount that was brought into. Yeah,
I was gonna ask, what is the 125 for?
Cover overhead for the staff that's involved for the EDC work, to cover the building we're in, to cover the insurance, utilities, everything related to the cost of having this organization operate this in the city
but
building.
now that we don't have a director per se, you're really doing,
I ain't doing this for free, no.
what I'm saying is that you're the one that's developing the reports for us here, so your time's involved in this.
My time will be involved, Clarissa's time will be
Get
involved,
the agenda ready.
sure.
Well, Clarissa, I get the agenda ready and all that. What Clarissa does is make our little packet. That's what she does for us.
But it's for any staff work that's done, again, the facilities that we're operating in, just to cover those costs. The idea being is if it was standalone, the cost would be significantly greater. If EDC had its own building and all its own utilities and stuff, it'd be considerably higher. It's
So realistically, what do you think a good number is gonna be to cover all that?
A little bit for the future, like we've got a budget coming up in, August and, July and September.
It really depend on you to give us a number.
I can try to break that down, but it's gonna be more art than science in that regard.
Just
The building's fully depreciated and all that.
Be an artist, let's see where we can go.
I mean, I
Well,
don't
you-
think we need to
I
do
need-
125,000. We don't have some of the expense we had previously. I just.
If
need
there's
to
not
know-
gonna be, if there's not gonna be a director, or I guess give me an idea how much staff time is gonna be required. If it's as it's been here as of late, then yeah, it can probably be a lower threshold, but again, the facilities.
At what number? Because that's what we're looking at, real numbers right now.
Yeah.
What are we looking at?
And it's gonna be pretty much the same. I don't see us needing a director.
Okay, well then let's put it this way, if we wanna say. I wanna say the building in Port Neches is just under 300 all in, but they have a full-time director. So take out a director cost, and I don't know if they have an assistant or not. But just round it to say, 150 off of that for salaries and costs, so that puts it at 150 for the facilities. I think that's probably a bit rich. So probably 100.
Well,
maybe
it went from
75.
175,000 down to 100,000.
It's fluctuated,
And then-
absolutely, it fluctuates all the time, right? It just,
But the thing is, I really need something more solid and concrete than just that.
What the money's going for.
well, that's why I'm trying to give you a comparison to what Port Neches is paying for
Oh,
theirs.
yeah, I understand all
Okay,
that.
so with your time,
Sure.
and you said, what's the other girl?
Clarissa,
Clarissa, but there was someone else,
Gail, she's the one that's gonna be handling the check stock and writing the checks and all that stuff,
okay?
AP.
And how many times a month does that take place?
Varies, y'all tell me how busy y'all are getting these applications, I can tell
2 to
you.
5 tops.
So that's gonna, then there's
well,
bank
we do it once
reconciliation.
a month.
Yeah, I mean, we have a maximum of 2 meetings a month.
And on top of that,
On
you're
the
gonna,
high side, sometimes only one EDC meeting per month.
Mostly we've been doing one.
Right.
so if you're asking me to be, our cost, say 50 to 75 is probably a reasonable guess based on facilities and other overhead costs. I can try to break that down, but that's,
I was
More
thinking
thumb
about
in the
that
air.
too. That's pretty much along the lines of what I was.
but I mean, I covered electricity, all the utilities, phones, whatever else.
So what you're saying is rather than 125,000, 75,000.
That'd be a reasonable amount, yeah.
I think that would be reasonable to,
Yeah. And
start with, let's just say.
Again, I'm
We
looking
may have to come back and adjust it, but at least it.
Right. And if we need to adjust it again, we adjust it.
again, and yeah, and I realize my audience, and I realize there's a quorum of city council members here, but at the end of the day, what council says is what's gonna carry the day. I recognize my audience, but this is the EDC I'm talking with right now.
And we are council too.
That's what I'm saying, I realize that. But if y'all weren't, what council votes on would still trump what y'all recommend.
Whatever.
But I'm basing this off of Port Neches. I'm definitely not basing any of these guesses off of what neither of them knows. So that's a different animal. Altogether.
With it last year is, number one, the price went up. And I re-listened to that workshop in particular. I re-listened to all of that, but the price went up, but it didn't, it didn't work with procedure. Procedure should be that you give us the number or however it works with President Wenzel, and then it's brought to EDC. EDC votes on it, and then it goes to city council. Last year, that didn't happen. It was supposed to, but it didn't. And things, I understand, it's a real rush and a frenzy when you're doing budget.
Traditionally, historically, that hasn't been how it had operated. Doesn't mean we can't change it. But I'm just saying, in years previous, it never went through EDC. Not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying that's how it was.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. And
So
if we want to revise those procedures, I'm all for it, but I need guidance back on how we want to revise it, and that would be
when the
a
number,
combination EDC council feedback.
yeah, when the number comes to the budget, workshop, that number should go from the budget workshop. As soon as it's done, it should go to EDC. EDC should motion, second, discuss and vote. Then it should go back. Then that's when it should go back to the budget as settled.
Again, EDC doesn't make the final, they can
No, I
make a
understand.
recommendation to council.
I understand
And
that
the
what I'm
council,
saying is
so,
that
yeah.
EDC needs to be in the know.
So what I would humbly suggest is after the workshop, what you're discussing, but then EDC will make what we're doing right now is, okay, we recommend that the transfer from EDC to
In
the
other words,
city.
that's the way it's presented.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay.
So we can discuss it in the workshops with EDC, and I'll be happy to facilitate that discussion, come up with their recommendation to council, be it 500,000 or 0 or somewhere in between, whatever y'all the day.
Councilman McAdams is gonna amend his motion.
Okay, can I say?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
sure.
that money that's gonna stay in the EDC, let's say we do 50 or 75,000, whichever. Okay, then that's more money we have for people, for businesses, right?
It's reducing the budget expenditure, so there should
Okay, so
be
we have
everything
more
being
money
equal.
for businesses.
Is there any harm in reducing it? I mean, are we cutting anything out? Are we?
It doesn't harm the EDC, it helps the EDC. The city, obviously, it puts more demand on their cash flow. It's less than.
Well, it was
$84,000.
$100,000, then it was 175, it went down to 100,000, then last budget it went back up to 125.
Right.
That's just not necessary, because we don't have some of the expense we have.
It's just that much
It's
less
not
money.
everyday cost, but it's
Here and there.
here and there. But understanding that there is an expense that EDC creates a burden, I guess, on the city.
In the city,
We're willing to.
because your time versus time,
The
Gail's
building we're
time,
in, that's
the
the chunk, I'll be honest, that's the chunk.
electricity, the computers, the software, the whatever.
Yes.
Okay,
I'd like to amend my motion to read, approve any future EDC non-grant expenditures. This would include $75,000 money transfer to general funds and bond payment for the fire department of $579,750.
Have a second. Motion is second to approve non-grant expenditures of 75,000 from 125. Any other questions?
okay, so instead of 125,000, we're gonna do 75,000?
Correct. That's what we're gonna recommend.
Okay,
As long as we're clear, that's EDC recommendation
Correct.
to council. Council's gonna come back and they'll decide what I know the audience,
Right.
but they're gonna decide what they want to do at the end of the day. Is that correct, Mr. Monk?
Yes. We'll vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item 10,
Before we move on, Mr. President, is it okay to make those transfers for this year then? Or, I mean,
yes,
the near future?
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right.
The fire department, he's got to transfer that money.
based on the sales tax numbers, we should be okay.
Yes, sir.
Item number 10, discuss and approve quote from Language USA Inc. to translate GEDC documents from English to Spanish. The amount was $192.
Yeah. Apologize.
I need a motion and a second.
Make a motion, we discuss and approve the quote from Language USA Incorporated to translate GEDC documents from English to Spanish in the amount of $192.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. We discussed this at the last meeting. I don't think you weren't here. There were some people that were requesting in Spanish. She went out and got a company that would translate all the minutes
Well, this, what I.
and the application, basically.
Yeah, what I did, Clarissa, this is the company that Clarissa uses for documents for the city. And she told me about it. So I sent them our documents for the Groves Economic Development Corporation, the guidelines, incentives, the application. It came back, I think 1,600 words is what he said. And the translation to translate it into Spanish would cost $192. I think it's worth it. We've got a lot of Spanish speaking business owners out there that would prefer to look at it in Spanish. And I know several that myself that would really like that. So it was a suggestion. I went out and got I emailed him and got the quote for it. It's up to the board what they decide to do.
Yeah, unless we've made some modifications to it.
Asking for this,
Yes,
asking EDC.
because they don't understand English and they don't understand the written English word.
And this used to be a one-time charge, and after that, we
Yes.
just make copies of it, and unless we modify the application, there won't be any other charges, just a one-time deal.
Yes.
Any other questions about it?
By the way, their letter was in the email. Mr. Moss, did I email you?
Yes, ma'am. I got it.
So it's like I said, it's a suggestion and it's what the board decides.
Any other questions? Now we'll vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Item number 11, review and approve GDC grant application for Larry and Rita's Don Lupe Incorporated at 3701 Pure Atlantic Road, Groves, Texas, 77619, the amount of $5,000 for exterior remodeling and safety, security, take a record vote. They had extensive work done on the parking lot and outside of the building.
Need a motion? Go ahead.
Make a motion, we review and approve GEDC grant application for Larry and Rita's Lupe Incorporated at 3701 Pure Atlantic Road, Groves, Texas, 77619, in the amount of $5,000 for exterior remodeling and security safety.
Have a motion and a second to approve the grant application for Larry Rita's for $5,000. Any questions?
We have Stuart's here. Hi, Stuart. Come on up and say hi to us.
I know some of y'all, I don't know all of them.
Hello.
How's things going there?
Going good,
Sue?
going good.
Looks like you've been real busy during the week.
Yeah, weekends kill us. They're busy, busy, busy. It's picking up.
I emailed the application to everyone. There was a little bit of miscommunication between myself and Clarissa, and she forgot to do just the top page of the application so you could see it, but it's in your email. So. And I did get today, Stuart brought me the paid receipt for the 13,000. Thank you.
Any other questions? Now we'll vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Thanks for being here.
Thank y'all.
All right, see you soon, Stu.
Okay.
Item number 12, review and approve GDC grant application for G&T Insurance HC at 4235 Lincoln Avenue, Groves, Texas, 77619, in the amount of $676.75 for advertising and $1,331.89 for signage, for a total of $2,008.64. if that number is different than applications, so we don't pay for tax. I need a motion in a second.
Oh, Paul, I'm about to go horse over here.
Make a motion. Review and approve the, GEDE grant application for G&T Insurance Agency. 4235 Lincoln Avenue, Grove, Texas, in the amount of $676.75. Advertising and $1,331.89 for signage. For a total of $2,008.64.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve GNC Insurance Agent for $2,008.64. Have any questions?
President Benzel, you're right, I included that on the agenda, that we did not include the tax in it.
Correct.
We had voted previously not to include the sales tax, but you have a lot of leeway here in your advertising for,
Additional funds,
yes, you do.
up to 2,500.
Also on one of the invoices, you'll see in the description, it talks about permit fee. And I called the company twice and I couldn't get any information out of them. So I called Don and I asked him if he would look up to see if a permit fee, because it said it's included in the price. And Don said, no. Don said no permits had been pulled for that, address except in 2007. So it was okay there. I just want you to know that because it was on the invoice.
I will vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
Item number 13, discuss and approve adding Mr. Derek Thial to the GEDC Board of Directors. Everybody know Mr. Thial, the owner of Pitside Barbecue. He submitted a letter to the EDC requesting him to take a look at him as a member of the board.
It was in your email. I put it in your email.
I need a motion in a second.
I make a motion that we discuss and approve adding Mr. Derek Thial to the GEDC Board of Directors and take a vote. Mr. Thial is not able, I'm sorry,
I
second.
need a second.
A second.
I have a motion, a second, discuss and approve adding Mr. Derek Thial to the GEDC Board of Directors. Any questions?
Mr. Thial is not able to be here today because he had a previous business commitment out of town. Otherwise, he would be here.
Do we have anybody else that applied? I mean, is that
Other than the emails that you got from nothing other than that.
Yeah, Mr. Thial's a business owner in Groves, a property owner in Groves. He is a recipient of the EDC. He's familiar with how it runs, what to do, and all of the documents and everything to fill out. And you saw his email, I suppose.
And he's looking at purchasing some property here at Groves to start his business back up.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Now we'll vote on the motion. All in favor of approving Mr. Derek Thiel to the GEDC Board of Directors, say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next time, discuss and approve adding Miss Letha Knaus.
Knaus?
Yeah, it's Letha Knaus, not Leisha. To GEDC Board of Directors. She was recently employed by the Chamber of Commerce as executive director. And I made some notes that her first day of employment was April 10th, which is a little over a month ago. And I had a record number of members join the chamber. 13 members have joined since she's been employed. I think that's a very good number. Hope that's a sign of things to come.
keep up the good work?
Yeah. I need a motion in a second.
Make a motion, we discuss and approve adding Miss Letha Canals to the GEDC Board of Directors.
A second.
Have a motion, a second to approve Ms. Letha Canals to the board of directors. Any other questions?
I think I attached her email to the agenda email. I'm pretty sure I got, I mean, I know I attached it to it, so I'm hoping you got it.
Further questions, we'll take a vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion carries. Welcome.
Thank you.
Item number 15, any GEDC member comments? Anyone?
If there's anything that anyone would like to put on the agenda, please email me, let me know. Myself and Mr. Vinsel, if you give out any applications, I'd like to know about that also. Or if you have an application that needs to be picked up, anything like that, just email me, please. Let me know.
Yes. Now we'll adjourn this meeting at 6:57 PM. Thank you. Thanks, Lamar.
I'm sorry
about this is the last week. Is it fair to say that this is what we president at all the next, okay, that's cool.
And, you know, after we discuss the budget, and stuff that can kind of.
I'm gonna be here, but I don't have any vacation plans in the near future anyway.
Next time, pick what chair you want to sit in.
Yeah, you're certainly welcome. Thank you. That's okay.
Thank you, congratulations.
Appreciate it. It's a team effort. It's the community really coming together. All of these
You'll be
little
getting
bits.
added some more emails now.
Thank you. And I-
Find out you're lucky, you'll- Okay, anyway, everybody just kind of shook their head at that point. Really, no worries, no worries. One eighty agreement or something like that. Maybe that's something when the hospital discussion happens tomorrow night that could be discussed. But that's the only reason we get over the details, individual business themselves.
Typically, you wouldn't want them discussed.
How they do it. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't mean to be rude if I had a problem, but
We can do it. No, I think you're spot on. I think you need to do it. Even if you get one in an executive session.
but if they need or approach us about some kind of rebate, it is fair game,
Right.
but I don't anticipate that.
No, I don't either. I don't either. I don't want to open the books up on that.
Exactly, 'cause that's some kind of, something I'm not so, I respect the businesses, keep some of their stuff.
Yeah.
If you want.
Yeah, no, sure. Very good.
Thank you.
You all right?
Oh, yeah. A long day. Ew, ow.
But,